it like me. You can never find somebody do it like me. I'ma turn it all the way up, cause it kamikaze. Go ahead and try, baby, you are gonna see that you'll never ever find somebody do it like me.
This is Northern Cyprus, a paradise for some and a place to stay away from for others. Life is expensive, livelihood is hard, but the atmosphere is fantastic. In addition to Turks, the area is home to Russians, Pakistanis, and foreign nationals from African countries. Northern Cyprus is not internationally recognized by any country. It is recognized only by Turkey and is under Turkish supervision. Northern Cyprus has a land area of only 3,355 square kilometers and is home to around 400,000 local people. Of course, during the tourist season, which lasts about 8 months, the population of Northern Cyprus easily exceeds 1 million. Considering that the land area of the island is 9,251 square kilometers, we can state that Northern Cyprus has roughly 1/3 of the island. The small size of this unrecognized country makes law and order there much smoother. Crime rates are very low on the island, because it is impossible for a person who commits a crime to travel overland from the country to other geographies. People live a decent and lawful life there. People here, especially in the winter months, do not need to lock their houses tightly, and similarly they can go shopping in the shops without having to turn off the ignition of their cars. Cyprus, which is already a paradise in terms of climate, has temperatures exactly equal to the air of the Republic of Cyprus just to the south. So is Northern Cyprus a country worth migrating to, or does it only appeal to local people? Is it a wise move to migrate to Cyprus with your savings and start a business? Or is this an unpromising land where you should take a vacation and return? Even if you don't have precise information about it, when you go to Northern Cyprus, you will see a lot of construction activity. There is a constant construction of real estate or buildings. This alone shows that there is a demand for Cyprus and developers are not sitting idle. Similarly, the markets and shops are full, and there is a constant abundance of customers inside. People use Turkish lira here, but don't worry, North Cypriot shopkeepers are also very welcoming of worldwide currencies such as the euro and the US dollar. When you look at the faces of the locals, there is a calmness in their faces and body movements. They don't look like people who live in a hurry. In other words, people there may be living life slowly. The capital of Northern Cyprus is Nicosia, and it is actually the same as Southern Cyprus. Nicosia is a city divided in two, and one side belongs to Southern Cyprus, while the other side belongs to the people of Northern Cyprus. In this sense, Nicosia is the only place in the world where the capital is divided in two and governed by two different administrations. Of course, this is not the only crucial point of Cyprus. Apart from Nicosia, the country is governed from 5 different settlements, namely Famagusta, Kyrenia, Güzelyurt, and Iskele. Famagusta, for example, is not only a tourist destination, but also a place where thousands of students study. Many students from both Turkey and foreign countries come here and get the chance to study in this safe country. It is stated that there are more than 20,000 university students in Famagusta alone. There are also important monuments from the Ottoman period in the region. For example, this Lala Mustafa Pasha Mosque is located in Famagusta and looks like a cathedral. This historical monument, which was a cathedral before the Ottomans conquered it, was converted from a church to a mosque after the Ottomans. For this reason, you may be interested to see this cathedral-like mosque with a mineral when you go there. It seems that people are very interested in this historical monument. Both Turks and tourists from Southern Cyprus flock to the area to see the cathedral-like mosque and enjoy the historical texture. People also come to Famagusta because they want to see the ghost town of Varosha. At the same time, the fact that the city has an important harbor and a visually appealing bazaar makes this region of Northern Cyprus very popular. There are even some streets where when you see the wooden and stone structures, you feel like you have discovered something that no one else knows or has found, and you want to take photos. Due to the country's high level of international interaction, the potential for Turkish Cypriots to speak English is also high. If you come here as an English speaker, you can easily communicate with the locals. Although the street signs are in Turkish, if you ask people a question or want to meet them, they will definitely respond positively. This shows how friendly and hospitable the people living there are to foreign tourists. They are also in serious need of foreign currency from tourists for the development of the island. The people of Northern Cyprus are generally kind and embrace the people on the streets. For example, in most parts of the world you see hungry and homeless people lying on the streets. However, you will not see beggars in Cyprus. People somehow lend you a helping hand and do not leave you hungry. There is also a reason for this situation. Begging is prohibited by law in Northern Cyprus. You are allowed to sell small things on the streets, but if you make a habit of asking for money for nothing, you may be reported. But the fact is, you can definitely foresee that people living in warmer climates are more positive and have more life energy. Especially if you adapt to their culture, they adopt you faster. And as you can see, you can find all kinds of people on this island. They live together with different mindsets. For example, if you are a guest at a Cypriot's home or at their table in a restaurant, you should definitely taste the food they offer you. If you do not taste something that is offered, they are extremely offended. Another thing to be aware of in Cyprus is that you must give way to ambulances. There may not be such a rule in the country you live in. In Cyprus, however, ambulances are required to keep moving in traffic and not waste time. If you don't give way to them while driving, you may even lose your license. Speaking of driving, you will see vehicles with red license plates in the traffic during your stay here. Vehicles with red license plates are rented by tourists who come to the island for a short time. Vehicles with red license plates are for hire, and local people are more polite to them when they see them in traffic. This is because Cypriot traffic drives on the left side of the road, and also because the steering wheels are on the right side of the car, not on the left. If you are traveling to Cyprus from Europe and are thinking of renting a car, you may find it difficult to get used to the traffic. This is why Cypriots are more careful when they see vehicles with red license plates in traffic. If you have ever been to Turkey, you have witnessed that the Turks on the mainland are in a hurry, driving fast, ignoring traffic rules, not paying attention to pedestrian paths. Turks living in Turkey are more aggressive, more nervous, more stressed, and this is reflected in the way they drive. But in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, as a pedestrian, you are surprised when you want to cross the road. Because people here have developed a traffic culture and they obey traffic rules just like in Western countries. Car drivers give way strictly to pedestrians and almost never honk their horns in traffic. Only men in their 20s who own luxury cars sometimes speed in the city. Women are much more likely to obey speed limits than men. However, if you are going to the Turkish part of the island of Cyprus, I recommend you to be careful in traffic. Turks are not very trusting about traffic rules, and if they are in a hurry, they may not follow the rules. On the other hand, if you visit the local bazaars, you can have plenty of chats with Turkish Cypriots while shopping. Also, if you are a foreigner and want to meet someone, you will find plenty of people of all ages in the cafes. Cypriot adults live according to a general Turkish culture and spend a lot of time in local cafes. In their free time, they drink a lot of tea in the cafes and always have something to chat about. It is a place where they smoke a lot of cigarettes and spend time playing backgammon. In Cyprus, however, younger men are more likely to spend their time in cafes than in coffee shops, which are often crowded with middle-aged and older people. People come here and either talk about work or gossip about someone. Because Cyprus is a small place and everyone knows everyone, people are very curious about who did what with whom. In addition to that, they really like to talk politics. It is not only the middle-aged and elderly who are interested in politics here, but even 18-year-olds are closely involved and follow every development in the country. Therefore, cafes are more innovative in terms of concept, more social, and a place where you can meet the opposite sex more easily, even discuss politics. In fact, cafes exist for socializing all over the world. Today, 25% of the people in Northern Cyprus have a very rich economic power, while 50% live a middle-level life. Therefore, you can see plenty of ultra-luxury vehicles on the island. In Cyprus, only about 10% of the population is in need of a livelihood. They keep the system running and work in professions related to the infrastructure of the island. Owning a new car on the island is not as difficult as owning a car for Turks in Turkey. For example, in Turkey, if you want to buy a new car, you pay 80% special consumption tax and 20% value-added tax. So when you buy a car for yourself, you also buy a car for the state. A Turk living in the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus buys a car only for himself and pays a similar value-added tax. On the other hand, Turkish men on the island have certain occupations other than sitting in coffee houses. In the fall and winter, for example, they have a quieter daily life. If you take a look at the men on the street, they look calm and give the impression that they are taking life slowly. Others are repairing the roofs of their shops after the end of the summer season and have already started renovating their businesses. For Turks, the time after summer can be perceived as a harbinger of winter and a cold time. But foreign settlers on the island wear thin summer clothes almost every month of the year. They take walks on the beaches and even swim in the sea. It should be noted that in Northern Cyprus, some people call themselves I am Cypriot while others call themselves Turkish Cypriot. The reason for this is that some see themselves as closer to Southern Cyprus. In Northern Cyprus, especially in Nicosia, there is a strange thing about human profiles. There are many Africans and Pakistanis around. Looking at them carefully, you can see that Africans have their own style, and most of them are students. But the Pakistanis don't look like students at all, and almost all of them are men. There are almost no Pakistani women among them. These people probably came to the island to work, but it is questionable how clean their record is. Because when a beautiful woman passes by on the street, they watch them for minutes without blinking their eyes. Since the lighting in the streets of the capital Nicosia at night is also extremely poor, wandering the streets of Nicosia after 8 p.m. and encountering foreign nationals other than Turks can make Western tourists there nervous. In fact, some of these people come to Northern Cyprus for university education, and others see cheap labor and construction activities in Northern Cyprus. For example, workers brought to Northern Cyprus from Turkey demand much higher salaries. As such, construction companies are more willing to employ people from South Asian countries where they can get cheaper work done. Some of these immigrants are engaged in the cryptocurrency business in Northern Cyprus, because the crypto exchange is a very active sector in Northern Cyprus and many companies are actively operating in this field. In this sense, a number of things are left free in Cyprus, and it may make sense to deal with investment and finance in different currencies here. For example, since money rules everything in the country, there is a similar process in the education sector. If the child of a wealthy person from abroad is a really unsuccessful student, he enrolls his child in universities in Northern Cyprus, then he can easily enroll his child in a good department here. Even if he or she does not graduate from the department for 10 years, as long as you keep the money flowing, you will not see situations such as being expelled from the university. In addition, Northern Cyprus universities offer half the price for a European or American, compared to those in their home countries. The annual fees of private universities in Northern Cyprus are roughly between 9,000 and 10,000 euros. These amounts look really good for someone earning euros or dollars worldwide. There is not much demand for these universities from the people of Northern Cyprus because in their money it costs 350,000 Turkish liras per year. This is a very costly investment for them. As a result, the education sector is one of the main choices for young people in Northern Cyprus who want an easy diploma with money and want to enjoy the sea and sun. For this reason, after casino hotel tourism, one of the sectors that brings the most foreign currency into Northern Cyprus is the paid education sector in primary, high schools and universities. This video was our first episode about Northern Cyprus. In the next video, we will cover more detailed topics about Turks living in Northern Cyprus. Goodbye.